Susie. There she is. There she is. Oh, this is good for you, Dada. You sure? Fine. Okay, we'll start. Natasha's going to wait for us at the bottom of the page.
It might be worth, just before we start, reminding people to switch their phones.
Oh, do they work up here? This is fantastic.
Well, not necessarily,
okay.
But...
If you do have a phone and you'd like to switch it off, that would be a good idea. Thank you. So we don't get beeped out.
Or flight mode or silent.
Okay. That would be very nice. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry that Natasha is waiting at the bottom of the hill because I wanted particularly, on behalf of us, Chalice Monastery UK Trust, and from the monks from Chalice, to say thank you to Natasha for inviting us, but also to everybody at Chalice Well, who have been fantastic in looking after us while we've been here. It's been an extraordinary 9 days. We had hoped to be here with greater numbers, but in fact the extraordinary work that the monks have managed to achieve in the 9 days with just 2 people is a sort of testament to the hard work that they've put in to make sure that this worked. But it's been a joy being here in the garden, and it's been a really appropriate place to do this amazing mandala. I was just going to tell you a little bit about the mandala in a moment, but before we start to do that, just to tell you what's going to happen now. First of all, we're going to invite the monks to make their prayers of blessing of this mandala. When that's finished, we're going to need a sort of pathway through to get out to the pool, to put some of the sand in the pool. So any of you who are sitting right in the way of the door, when it comes, not now, but when it comes to it, if you be careful and just move sideways so we can let the monks out safely, they will come out of the door. And then if you'd all follow them down the path towards the pool, David and Jill, who've been running our shop, I'm sure you know them, will be explaining where you'll get the best view of the last bit of the mandala ceremony. So if you follow them down, they will sort of explain what's going to happen. They'll tell you where to stop, as it were, so that you can see what's happening. Then please do come back here, because we will be able to give you a little bag of the sand to take away with you at the end of the ceremony. So please, after you've seen that final moment of the mandala, please do come back into the tent and pick up your bag of sand. It's customary to leave a donation to the monastery when you do that. If you feel that you'd like to do that, it's not absolutely obligatory, but it does help us to keep the monks' culture alive, which is what we're doing with the UK Trust. Chalice is a refugee monastery in South India, struggling in a way to keep this culture alive. And what we do with this UK Trust is bring them over so that we can spread this culture as far as possible, so that in the event that things go really badly wrong, still people understand a little bit more about the culture of Tibet and will mind if it disappears, because that's the important thing. We need to get people who have a little bit more knowledge and understanding of the culture to ensure its survival. So please do keep in touch with us in the future. We'll be back with 8 monks, if all goes well, in September, touring around the country. There will be information on our website about the tours that the monks do. So please do follow us and tell other people, if you've enjoyed this, to come and find us and see us and support us in the future. Sati, can I just, everybody else actually, maybe no flash photography.
Sorry.
That's all right,
Sorry.
it's fine. It's just it's just sort of disturbs a bit. That would be great. So please do follow us. What you're seeing here is culture that's 2,000 years old. It's 2,000 years old. We are trying to keep in the 21st century. There are various things like a website, like CDs that we've produced, like DVDs. You can even download some of the monastic orchestras ringtone for your telephone, and there are all sorts of things that you can do which are quite fun. So please do sort of investigate further if you'd like to support us that way. But now on to the mandala itself. What the monks have produced here is something that would be part of a meditation, that is part of an initiation, an empowerment done in the monastery, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, at special times of year, but also sometimes at the request of a sponsor. We call it a sand mandala, although in fact it's made out of marble. It's made out of ground marble, which is crushed to a very small size and then used to create this extraordinary picture just out of grains of sand. The idea of the initiation is to invite Chenrezig, who is the Buddha of compassion, from his realm into our realm. And by so doing, we can take his wisdom and understanding of compassion and relate it to ourselves. And in fact, if you were to do the initiation, the final part of that initiation would involve imagining yourself becoming Chenrezig and therefore taking all his qualities of compassion into yourself. This is not an initiation, it's an exhibition, but it's also a blessing, and it's been made very much with the feelings of compassion in mind, to spread this feeling of compassion and kindness as widely as possible. The design here is set down in the scriptures. It's been memorized over many hours of training by the 2 monks who've been here, the 2 Kachins who've been here making the mandala. Every Chenrezig mandala made by the monks in the Tashilhunpo tradition will look like this. But there are many other mandalas of different deities which will be different. And the colours all relate to something very important in the teachings. And in fact, what you're looking at is the most beautiful space that has been possible to create in our world in order to attract the Buddhas to come down to be with us to share their knowledge. And so they have created a palace here, and we have to sort of imagine that we're flying over the top of it like a bird, looking down onto the middle of the palace itself. And as they've made it, they've been imagining the upright walls that are surrounding the central courtyard where the 5 Buddha families are represented by their symbols. Then they have a structure that's rather like this tent over the top of them, which is shown by the little circle of doje, of the thunderbolt shapes, just around the middle of that central courtyard. And that is like a sort of bowl shape over the middle of the mandala to protect the deities who are within. The T shapes here are columns holding up the roof of the palace itself. And around the walls are beautiful designs. So the little lotus flowers on the red background here are representing beautiful designs on the walls, so paintings on the walls of the temple itself, but of the palace itself, but also representing dakinis who are making offerings to the Buddhas in the centre of the palace. There are jewels built into the walls to decorate the walls, and then the little dots in half moon dots here are strings of pearls which are hanging, as it were, from the sort of edge of the ceiling down, each of them with a bell at the end of each string of pearls. So not only are you seeing this beautiful place, but you're imagining the sound maybe of a gentle breeze coming through the palace and the sound of these bells around the area. There's a lot of practical things in here as well. So the blue and white triangles represent water spouts which actually take rain as it falls on top of the palace out into the garden rather than into the centre of the courtyard. And then the final white line around the edge of the palace is a parapet made up of lotus petals, the white square that you see around it. There are 4 gates to enter the mandala. This blue gate is towards the east, and so it's always orientated towards the east. And the whole of that mandala is actually built on a double doje. And I don't know if Kachanla can reach behind him. There's a double doje here. this is the sort of foundation of the mandala itself, and so it's on the ground, as it were, and the palace is sat on top of it, and you can see on the mandala itself a little triangle at the top of the gate, and that is the actual tip of the dorje shown as we're flying over the top of it, looking down. So at the same time as you're looking down on it, you have to think that you're actually climbing up very steep steps to get into the actual ground floor of the palace itself. The garden surrounds the mandala itself, the palace, and there are pots on the roof, pots in the garden, there are clouds at the top of each gate, and there are the wish-fulfilling tree around the outside on each side of the gate, with precious articles in each one. The whole of that mandala is sitting inside another huge lotus flower represented by the 64 petals around the outside, different coloured petals, and then again a sort of structure like this tent over the top, made up of dorje to protect the whole of the mandala and the deities inside. Then finally around the outside is a ring of fire, and this is again another protection against negative influences coming into the mandala. Around the outside of the mandala are offerings, and these are of water, water for drinking, water for washing, of light, flour, there's a flower there, incense, and then food. And the final offering is that of prayer and of music, which is the monks' prayers that they will do as making this blessing of the mandala. In the monastery this would be made, you would have a chance to look at it, it would then be curtained off, and the initiation would begin, taking between 6 and 10 days to follow the meditation through, to construct the mandala in your mind. So you can do the meditation without the mandala, but to have it here in front of you is obviously really helpful. And then, as I say, the final part of that initiation is imagining yourself transformed into Chenrezig. Then you realise it's impossible to ask Chenrezig to stay in our realm, and therefore you must thank him for his help and assistance for coming and teaching us about the wisdom of compassion, and release him to return to his own realm. So that is where this ceremony then takes place, and the person who's had responsibility for constructing the mandala will pick out from the design here on the table the images that represent the deities who are present, lifting them out with his fingers, putting them onto a little mirror called a melon, and this will then be put into a vase called bumpa and carried and put into running water. The rest of the sand is swept up into the centre of the table, and the whole of this image sort of dissolves back into the sort of greyness, perhaps, of the stone from which it's come. A lesson in impermanence, very important in the Buddhist teachings, and also perhaps a lesson in non-attachment, so that the monks, as they do this, after spending many hours of work, are not going to feel sadness at seeing it go. They know that it can be done again at a future time. It teaches us non-attachment as well as this extraordinary impermanence of this particular design. Mandala can be taken on many different levels, simply as a wonderful work of art that it's been a privilege to see, but also much deeper as part of the initiation. This particular mandala is now ready for the final prayers, and we just hope that you've enjoyed seeing it all being made and this final moment of the prayers. So the first prayer that they're going to do is Gyusha Sumpa, which is making 3 prostrations to Chenrezig. The second is Kyabdro, which is taking refuge. Then Yenlak Dumpa, which is the 7-limbed practice, which is a preparation for a special event or the start of a meditation. Then you'll see them putting the shamo, the hats, on, and making the offering represented by these outward offerings around the table to Chenrezig, using the mudras, the hand gestures, to describe it. And then finally Tashi, the blessing, which concludes the prayer itself. Couch and I would then have to walk around the table, so that is the stage when we'd ask you all to pull your feet in, give them room to come round, and we will see you at the end of the ceremony back here in the tent to collect the sand at the end of the mandala. Thank you.
Jindere Jene Tunje, Kebata Ye Yongala, Udru Doba Shimbe, Nye Jera Janjembo, Omo Sarva Tata Gatama, Saptarana, Pardinza Wonzo, Laye Wambo Lame Yuja, Tashila Monye Jobata, Yawananda Lama Lazola, Tashita Yata Yejoba, Omo Sarva Tata Gata, Edra Mangala, Pardinza Wonzo, Oja Shedanti Mo Vanjene, Ludan Wadan Tishe, Debata Ye, Deba Chicheba, Teta Tamja Taki Suzu, Sushi Jawa Kunda Sanjera, Ranya Landa Lota Melo, Roa Kunje Sona Kala Yang Teta Kunje Jesu Dai, Kana Chuchi Jite Drumana, Checha Rimpa Sanja Maja, Umbo Teta Taki Tamja La Kolo Lana Mepa Kuwa, Yamanda Kashe Teta La Roa Kula Peshe Teve, Yabashi Dunye Jubaya, Daya Damara Jasova, Chazawada, Chushi Shabada, Chisoyera, Wishe Sova, Yawa Juza, Daji Chisaba, Tamja Sobe, Chambo, Junji Mago, Kundo, Gato Sanji, Ola, Jentuji, Jenji, Rola, Jerazilla, Chazalo, Omane Peme, 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 Inje Wandi, Nyudu da Chirazi Wandu Jena, Doa Chijamalu, Diya Sala Oma,
tide. Did you ever watch the monks walk down with the sand in the bottom pool? You could take it slowly and stand on the left-hand side of the lake.